Hello, my sweet listeners. So, it's the second part of story You Are Forever Me. If you like it, so like, share, and subscribe my channel. Let's start. Who's come to my room? Working in the kitchen since morning, Gina was deeply disturbed. For the past week, strange things had been happening at night, and the thoughts kept terminating her. And I don't know. Just then her aunt entered the kitchen and glared at her. Where have you been wandering around with such a shameless face? Seeing Gina's dislaved hair, flushed cheeks, and the marks on her neck, Mrs. Miller's brows knitted together. What do you mean, aunt? Gina asked, startled. Don't pretend to be innocent. Tell me, who are you having an affair with? When Gina didn't understand, Mrs. Miller yanked her scarf off angrily, pointing at her neck. Panicking, Gina quickly washed her face and returned to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. Before she knew it, it was almost 2 p.m., yet she hadn't been allowed to leave the kitchen. Today's Daniel and his friends were invited for lunch, and all the preparations fell on Gina's shoulders. After all, in this house she was less of a daughter and more of a servant. When her parents died during her childhood, her uncle decided to keep her with them. Mrs. Miller had never liked that decision, but with time she began to find it convenient. She started taking all the household work from 7-year-old Gina. After making her work all day, she would even demand foot massage at night. Gina's only rest was during school hours. The moment she returned, the labor began again. Where have you lost yourself? Mrs. Miller snapped, slapping Gina on the waist. I will find out who your lover is and tell your uncle everything. No, aunt, it's nothing like that. Gina cried. There were mosquitoes in my room last night. I swear, I have no relationship with anyone. At Mrs. Miller's threats and slap, Gina broke down in tears. Oh, yes, mosquitoes have become very bold these days. Mrs. Miller mocked, curling her lips. And this mosquito looked quite big to me. Useless girl, hurry up and walk. She stormed out. Here, dear, take the food. Albert was seated at the dining table with Daniel. As Gina served food, Albert kept her trapped in his gaze. Gina, bring the rice pudding. Rosalind ordered loudly. Gina quietly stepped forward. After just 2 spoonfuls, Albert raised his hand, stopping her. What's wrong? You look disturbed. Gently, noticing her absent expression. Nothing, Gina replied. Snapping back to reality, her eyes unintentionally met Albert. The strong scent of his cologne hit her sense strangely familiar. She's always lost in thoughts these days, Mrs. Miller said harshly, staring at Gina. We will get her married soon. Albert, eating quietly, stiffened slightly. Give him water, Daniel said, gesturing toward Albert. Nervous Gina handed Albert a glass of water. Instead of taking the glass, Albert held her hand and drank from it. Gina felt her entire being tremble. That touch, she recognized it. Shock washed over her. Somewhere deep inside, it felt terrifyingly familiar. Later, after freshening up, Gina stood before the mirror. The red marks scattered across her neck told an entirely different story. If Mrs. Miller had noticed them earlier, Gina couldn't blame her for misunderstanding, but that only made her more anxious. Her sleep had vanished. The entire day passed in unease until Albert's presence filled her with fear. His familiar scent, his touch, it all reminded her of the night. But how was that even possible? Go to your room and sleep, Mrs. Miller snapped at 11 p.m., seeing Gina sitting in the TV lounge. I'm going, Gina replied softly and headed toward her room. Watching her leave, Mrs. Miller thought bitterly. Tonight, I will catch you red-handed. She stayed seated in the lounge. She was determined to find out who came to meet Gina at night. Gina never went out of the house, so the answer was obvious. Someone came to her. But who? The man stood on the balcony, pressing his lips together when he saw the window closed. A slow smile spread across his face. He took a key out of his pocket, twirled it between his fingers, and quietly unlocked the door. Stepping inside on silent feet, seeing Gina sleeping peacefully on the bed, he moved closer. You can't marry anyone else, Albert said gravely, sitting beside her. Dressed in a simple pink suit, she looked like a blooming rose. Her golden hair spilled across the pillow. He gently ran his fingers through her hair, then placed a chloroform-soaked cloth over her nose. His voice dropped to a whisper. I had no intention of doing this like this. I wanted to claim you, he whispered darkly, but I cannot let you belong to anyone else. That's why your punishment was lighter before. In the darkness of night, I pitied you, but now I will punish you in daylight, and it will be unbearable. As he softly felt her presence beneath his hands, his whisper carried a chilling calm. Gina's heart pounding violently as intensity spread through his touch. Sensing it, she tried to open her eyes but failed. Her lover was in the room. Outside, Mrs. Miller heard whispers coming from Gina's room. The certainty of someone else's presence sealed in her mind, and she hurried to Rosalind's room to call her. You look far more beautiful in the darkness of night than you do in daylight, he murmured shamelessly. His wandering hands traced her form and paused at her waist. Even in unconsciousness, Gina trembled. The full moon shone brightly, spilling its light across her golden face. He looked at the moon through the window, smiling deeply because of her. This scene existed. These hands won't remain capable of lifting themselves very soon, he said softly, pressing his lips against her racing heartbeat and kissing the palms of her hands. It was a strange hatred, one in which he found peace in her closeness. For the past week, this had become his habit. Any night he tried to stop himself from coming here. Sleep deserted him. Restlessness drove him back to her. Tonight, despite his anger, he had decided not to come. But what he heard from her aunt destroyed his calm. He could not allow Gina to marry someone else. You can't even tolerate my touch in unconsciousness. He smiled cruelly. When you are awake, you will shudder when I come down on you with full force. Seeing her restless even in her fainted state, his smile deepened. Suddenly he sensed movement outside the door. His hearing was sharp. The moment he caught the voice of the person standing outside, his lips pressed together. Tonight I will catch her red-handed, Mrs. Miller said smugly to Rosalind. Then I will expose her black deeds to the entire family. A cold smile touched his lips. We will meet again very soon. I will take you away from here. Bending down, he gently bit the side of her neck. The faint echo of her breath almost stopped him, but he had to leave. He would not let Mrs. Miller succeed. Caught her. Mrs. Miller pushed the door open and rushed in, only to freeze in shock when she found no one there. Seeing Gina sleeping peacefully on the bed, her expression twisted. She is asleep. There's no one here, Rosalind said, looking at her mother in confusion. Quiet, Mrs. Miller hissed and began searching the room thoroughly. It was the smallest room in the house, a single bed, an old cupboard, and a tiny bathroom. There was no one anywhere. Then her eyes fell on the open balcony door. She helped him escape. Mrs. Miller muttered angrily, glaring at the deeply sleeping Gina before looking down from the balcony. No one was there. It's your imagination, Mom, Rosalind yawned. Who would come here for her? She's terrified of you. She'd rather die than do something like this. Still unconvinced, Mrs. Miller clenched her jaw. Tomorrow I'll talk to Susan, she said bitterly. I won't rest until I throw this rich girl out of the house, and I'll deal with her in the morning. Angrily, Mrs. Miller and Rosalind left the room. Hello, Gina, can you meet me? Daniel, I have a lot of work, Gina said softly, looking at the pile of dirty dishes as she answered his call. Please, just meet me once. I have planned a surprise for Rosalind. and I need your help. Please don't say no. After hesitating, she agreed. Okay, I will come for 15 minutes. Where should I come? Come to my office. We will go together from here. Gina felt a hint of excitement in Daniel's voice. She was about to finish her work and inform them before leaving when Mrs. Miller's voice reached her ears from the room. Get the remaining property transferred in your name first. After that, I will marry her off to Susan's son, Romy, and throw this curse out of the house. Tell Susan to come on Friday and finalize everything. Romy, Mrs. Miller's friend's son, was a gambler and a drug addict. His gaze had always been filthy. Whenever he came over, he stared at Gina shamelessly. She already knew her aunt and uncle had their eyes on her late father's shop and house, which had been transferred in her name. For the past few days, Mrs. Miller had been unusually quiet, no scolding, no taunts. Now she understood the reason behind that silence. How can aunt do this without asking me? Gina whispered as tears rolled silently down her cheeks. How can she arrange my marriage to Rumi? Wiping her face, she quietly walked away. She had been sitting for a long time waiting for Daniel when the receptionist finally called her and asked her to come inside, adjusting her scarf and spreading her properly over her shoulders. She walked in. For the past hour, Albert had been watching her through the glass from his laptop screen, sitting in the waiting room, crying endlessly. He didn't know what had broken her so deeply. Hello, Daniel, Gina greeted as she entered the cabin. Come in, Gina. I've been waiting for you, Daniel said, glancing at his watch. I didn't realize you would be this late. I've been waiting outside for the past hour. Gina replied softly. I'm sorry I took so long. I was told you were busy, she replied. It's okay. Come, let's have lunch. I'm not hungry, she refused politely. Tell me why you called me. Sit, then I'll tell you. He smiled, seeing her tear strict face. He grew serious. Did Aunt say something to you? After a moment's thought, Gina decided to trust him. Aunt thinks I am having an affair, that I secretly called someone to my room. She wants to force me into marriage because of it. Daniel nodded. Yes, Rosalind told me. Aunt finalized things with a man named Romy. Placing his hand gently over hers, he moved a little closer. He is a terrible man, Gina sobbed. I don't want to marry him. Outside, Albert's jaw tightened, watching Daniel's closeness. I'm with you, Gina, Daniel said, wiping her tears. Don't panic. Then his eyes fell on her neck. What is this? He asked, noticing the dark red mark turning bluish. As he reached out to touch them, the cabin door slammed open. Albert stood there. Daniel jumped up instantly. What do you think you are doing in my office? Albert roared, grabbing Daniel by the collar. Before Daniel could react, Albert punched him repeatedly. Gina froze in shock. Leave him, she cried, grabbing Albert's arm. Are you incensed? Albert shouted. How dare he touch you? Sit this close to you while you cry. His bloodshot eyes burned into hers. I thought women could recognize an evil gaze, but you couldn't even recognize the man sitting next to you. Daniel smiled faintly through the pain. I know his intentions are clean, Gina screamed. Your mind is filthy. Enraged, Albert slammed Daniel's head violently. Enough, Gina shouted, trying to push him, but she couldn't move him an inch. Losing control, she slapped Albert across the face. His hand froze mid-air. This was the second slap of his life, and both from the same woman. How dare you? He roared, throwing Daniel aside and grabbing Gina by the shoulders, slamming her against the wall. I won't spare you, he snarled. I already intended you to break these hands. Now imagine what I will do. He punched the wall beside her head. You will pay for this. Get ready to suffer, honey. His hot breath on her face made her dizzy. The familiar scent of his cologne overwhelmed her sense. Releasing her abruptly, he stormed out. I don't want excuse, Albert said coldly to the woman in front of him. I want this girl at any cost. Offer her aunt any amount. She is greedy. She will agree. But what if the girl refused? Assistant asked nervously. Albert's icy expression silenced her. Daniel had already been fired. Those who recorded the office incident were punished. Now only one thing remained. Throw this money at her face, Albert said, placing a bag filled with fresh cash on the table. I want the marriage tonight, assistant nodded and left. These are 10 million sent for you, assistant said, placing the bag in front of Mrs. Miller. If you accept the proposal, Mrs. Miller's eyes sparkled with greed. If you don't agree, I will take it back, assistant added, pretending to rise. No, no, sit, Mrs. Miller hurried, signaling Rosalind. Assistant opened a voice call. Sir has one condition, he said. After this, none of you will ever meet Gina again. She will live forever. Take her away, Mrs. Miller said angrily. She ruined our lives. Because of her, my daughter's engagement broke. Counting the money greedily, she agreed. After that day, Daniel disappeared. One day, an envelope arrived. His engagement ring returned along with a letter informing them that he had left the country and was now engaged to someone else. And after that, Gina was completely alone. Subscribe Midlife Storylines Official for last part. You are forever me.